Hey AP Stats students, this is your favorite AP Stats teacher, Mr. Fukao. Today is September 3rd, 2019. Happy birthday to Period 3's Daniel Falas. We are going to be jumping into chapters 2 and 3, a little bit of chapter 1, but mainly chapter 3. So we're just going to take one thing from chapter 1, one thing from chapter 2, and then we're going to focus on chapter 3 mainly. Remember that this is like a practice run, so after this video, I do want to hear your feedback, okay? Feel free to pause the video anytime, go at your own pace, write down questions, and again, this is a practice run, so I want to hear your feedback, okay? So we're going to be preparing for our next quiz coming up. I'm looking at next Wednesday, but I think that's going to just depend on how things go, okay? So I will be here in class today and Wednesday, but Thursday on, I will be gone, all right? Hopefully just a week. So this is a tentative date. All right, so let's jump in. The first thing we need to look at is, from chapter 1, we talk about data versus statistic, okay? So think of data as like everything, the numbers, the raw data, all right? So if you think of it as a cooking analogy, I love food, I know you do too, is these are like our raw vegetables, the raw meat, the raw fruit, the dried uncooked pasta. It's just not done yet. These are the ingredients. This is what's in your pantry, and the statistic is like what you cook up, okay? So right here you have the raw tomatoes, the raw beef, the raw mushrooms, and then out of that you're gonna make your pasta sauce, right? With a little bit of garlic, a little Parmesan, throw in a little oregano, and whatever secret things you have in there. All right. So some examples of a statistic could be anything from a mean. Okay, we're gonna be dealing with that a lot. You can look at the minimum number. You can look at the maximum number. Okay, and what's that term called again? The middle number, the median, right? Anything like that. So all of these would be considered statistics. So if you're, thinking about like a pot of food again, right? So this would be all of our data mixed together, okay? Now let's say we want to know the number of these blue, I don't even know what they're called, but how many of these things we have in our bowl of Lucky Charms? Oh, a little stale, but it's okay, right? If we wanted to count how many of these we got, we got 3, 4, okay? That would be a statistic. How many of those blue little faux marshmallows we have, okay? All right, so again, data versus statistic. Your textbook on page 2 talks about, like, is data plural or singular? Answers both, but it's up to you, okay? All right, the next thing, so that's all chapter 1. Congratulations, we finished chapter 1. Next thing is chapter 2, categorical variables versus quantitative variables. Again, feel free to pause the video whenever you want to, okay? And rewind. So a categorical variable is like, think about, like the term says right here, it's categories. So you want to split up the data into different categories. So some examples would be like hair color, black, brown, blonde, purple, okay? Another example would be like your handedness. Okay, are you right-handed? Are you left-handed? Are you ambidextrous? You could do like your birth month. Okay, so they're all January, February, March. They're all just categories. So if you think of it like, let's see. So like you have different like buckets, okay? So you have a green, a pink, an orange bucket. And let's say I was asking you, oh, what's your favorite color out of these 3? pink, green, and orange. And you have John here. John's like, I like green. Okay, so he chose green. And then Paul, right? Paul says, I like pink. And then Paul's little sister, we'll call her Jessica. Jessica's like, I like orange. And then Jessica's little horse that she rides is like, okay, I like orange too. So we could see that each of these people chose their favorite color. Okay, so these are categorical. So favorite color would be an example of a categorical variable. So quantitative, on the other hand, these are like counts or measures of something. We're on page 10, chapter 2. So go ahead and flip right there right now. You can pause the video and flip right there. Examples, and your textbook lists a lot more examples, but it could be anything like height. The height of all of our AP Stat students in inches. It could be the age. It could be, let's see, how much time it takes you to get from your home to Marshall. It could be the amount of money you have in your bank account or in your wallet. Okay? What do you notice about these two sets of examples? Okay, you're probably thinking, oh, so these are all numerical and these are not. So if something's numerical, automatically it is quantitative. So let me ask you about this then. Okay. Your area code, your phone number area code. That's a numerical value. However, that is not a count or a measure. Okay? So if I asked you to just raise your hand in class, hey, how many of you have a 626 area code? And certain number of people raise their hand. How many of you have a 909 area code or a 323 or a 818, whatever that may be? So that would be a counterexample of saying that all quantitative variables are numerical. Okay, it's not that easy. So is there something that could be both categorical and quantitative? Yes. Your textbook lists a good example on page 10. You can check that out. Or you can just look at this example right here. And let's think of an example of like age. Okay? So say we have these 5 individuals right here, and this is their age. Looking at this, we can see that, is age here, is it quantitative or is it categorical? So right now, when John says his or her age, like this would be quantitative. However, what if I asked you, let's say, how many people are, let's see, so, okay, so let's do name again, and then we'll say over or under, let's say the age of 15, okay? So we have John here. John is under 15, so John would be under. Levi here, Levi is over 15. We have Eben here. Eben is under. And as you can see, the only 2 options of these individuals for Sarah and Amy coming up is that they have to be either over or under. Okay? So this is an example where you can take a quantitative variable and make it into a categorical. I know that gets confusing. So do not say, for this one, it is not simply just saying numerical. Okay? this does not work. All right. So that's categorical and quantitative. So that was just chapter 2 in a nutshell. Next thing, let's go to chapter 3. We're just going to touch on one thing in chapter 3. We're going to talk about the Titanic. So we're on page 22. The Titanic, right? You guys remember that ship? Did you guys know that the Titanic one day? So this is what, like, Titanic was what, 1910s or 1920s? I forget what year it was, but they spent on average about 800 tons, not 800 pounds, 800 tons of coal daily just to move that massive piece of steel. Okay, holy cow. I mean, I guess so. I guess the environmentalists, Greenpeace and people would not be saying holy cow because cows produce a lot of greenhouse gases and so does coal. So they would probably say holy Ford Focus or holy, I don't know. Anyways, so the example they use is talking about passengers on the Titanic, and this is on page 22, and finally we're on chapter 3. So it breaks down the number of people who were in first class. Okay, so there were 325 passengers that were in first class. There were 285 passengers who were second class, and then they had the largest class was 706 passengers. Now I'm going to give you the number of crew members, but take a guess. How many crew members do you think were on the Titanic, on that massive Titanic ship? Oops. Okay, 885. 885 crew members. So this gives us a total of, the number is like 2,000 something. Now, 2,201 total people on the ship. Okay, so what we just created here was a table, but this is actually called a frequency table. We're going to be dealing with this a lot in statistics. All it does is just tell us how frequent, how frequent a variable appears. Now, bonus question right here, is this a categorical variable or is this a quantitative variable? You see the number and you think, oh my gosh, this is quantitative. However, no, right? If you have a person here and say this is Leonardo DiCaprio right here, and asking Leonardo DiCaprio, which class do you fall on? I think Leo was third class, right? Or he was sleeping in the bottom of the bunker. What we're going to be dealing with here, categorical is chapter 3, and then chapter 4 through 6 is going to be quantitative variables. Okay? Now, these numbers are good, but these numbers are very, very large. And what if I want to deal with percentages? What if I wanted to know if this was 100% of percentages? What percentage of 2,201 is 325? So you'll see in your textbook it's 14.77%. Okay, and what if we change this to percentage? 12.95%. What if we change this? This is all in your textbook on page 22. What if we change this to 32.08 and 40.21? So I don't know about you, but this gives me these percentages actually gives me a better idea of the amount of people that were in each of these classes right here. Okay, so if we do this, if we change it from counts to percentages, this is now called a relative frequency table, because we want to know what percentage of passengers were third class relative to the total. What percentage of the passengers were first class relative to the entire total. Okay? So in a nutshell, relative deals with percents. All right, we're gonna stop right there. I'm gonna take your feedback and we'll go from there. All right, thanks for watching, guys.